ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ನ್ಯೂಸ್ 26ಗೆ ಸ್ವಾಗತ. ಮೊಟ್ಟ ಮೊದಲ ಬಾರಿಗೆ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಟಿವ್ ಪಾಥ್ವೇಸ್ ಬಿಯಾಂಡ್ 8 ಲರ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಸೆಂಟರ್ ಓಪನಿಂಗ್ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಂ ಅನ್ನು ಕೋರಮಂಗಲದ 5th ಬ್ಲಾಕ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ನಡೆಸಲಾಯಿತು.
Initiatives that we put together to try and redraw the contours and imaginations of what it means to go to school and why we go to school even. And through these endeavors, we sort of realized that up to 8th standard, everybody was happy with these ideas. But after 8th standard, they, in all our houses where there are kids, people will say, oh, he's a good guitarist. Come on, auntie and uncle, you play for auntie and uncle. Or whoever has come, you have to embarrass your kid and make them do something, right? But after 9th standard, we don't do that. We say, go back in and study, don't waste your time here. Come quickly and go back quickly, right? So we're telling completely opposite stories one day from the next. Last day of 8th standard, we have one story. First day of 9th standard, we have a different story. And they don't correlate very well to each other. So it's important to give children that consistent signal that curiosity must be kept alive through education. Experiences must be plenty. Often we don't know what we don't know, and part of education is today a lot about giving kids only one version, one imagination of education, and in a time when we can learn anytime from anyone at any time, in any place, on any subject, for any duration, right? We must enable all of these things, and that's really our effort in Beyond It, to put these ideas together, redraw, reimagine the contours of what it means to be educated, what it means to be enabling somebody for gainful employment at some point in time. I hope your experiences was good today, and I hope you'll all root for Beyond It and help us improve where we can improve, because it's not a perfect, we're not trying to make one perfect education system here, we're trying to make it perfect for every child in some sense. And so there's no one system that fits all. That's the very thing we're trying to walk away from. So I look forward to all of your guidance, support, encouragement in this journey for us. Thank you so much for coming.
Without its awesome team, if we have so many dreams for Beyond It, it's because we have phenomenal people behind the work that we do, who are actually executing it every single day. I would like to just to take one moment to introduce each one of them. Dr. Bhanu Shankar, she is the Governor of Education at Beyond It. Thank you, Bhanu. Again, some of us have travelled from Chennai. Nandini Ramesh is the co-founding member at Beyond It, and she heads the Pathways Council. Sadla over here, she has been with us, I think, for the last decade and over. She is the head of processes for Beyond It Chennai as well as Bangalore. And we have Aishwarya, who is a part of the Pathways Council. Akanksha, who is a part of our marketing team. Then Sharada, our people experience person, so she is the one who ensures that the best people that we would love to have are with us. Srividya, our newest bee, she joins us as a learning facilitator here in Beyond It to teach psychology, economics, business studies. She doesn't know all the others yet, but she will get to know soon. Shirodeep here, who is again a learning facilitator here at Beyond It, teaching English, all different varieties. You talk literature, you ask drama, and maybe he will do some epoxy painting also with children. So all of that. Thank you, Shirodeep. Who am I missing? Rohit again, learning facilitator here at Beyond It for physics and chemistry. He has a photographic memory, which is why I say that generally one person cannot teach physics and chemistry so well, but while he understands the application of it, he is aided because of this photographic memory he has, which I am quite jealous about. So Rohit over here. Thank you, Rohit. Thank you so much for being here. Beyond It is because of the learners that we have seen in the last 2 decades. All their rants that they will have in the middle of the night while having dinner with us when we were very, very, very small. They would go, pass out of HLC, and then they will come back and they will say, you didn't teach us this, you didn't do this right, and college, this is what they expect, you didn't guide us in their ever so thoughtful ways. And I think it is built because of the learners for them. It's not my imagination or Naveen's. It took us a little time. The first few years we were trying to think how do we change, how do we try to imagine learning differently so that they can benefit. But I guess we to do for them, and that's why Beyond 8 is learner determined, it's utogogical. The idea of being hybrid even came from a learner. She said that at the ages, when you're in 10th, 11th, 12th, just to go to school every, all the 5 days and still manage all the things you have to do and still sort of, follow your interest is not feasible, right? And that's where the hybrid model of education also sort of the ideations came out of that. So, and I guess being in the, Naveen and I have both worked in the finance sector, and we have, the industrial experience, because of which we are also very impact focused. So it's now, you can't get away by just saying the things that you like to say in a beautiful way, but you need to show what you do, and then your learners have to, showcase proof of that. If you don't hear it from the learner, it means we have not done something right. And I think that sort of sums up the story of Beyond 8. It is for children because of their voices, children who have grown to be young adults now and still badger us by saying that you should have done that better. And we hope that continuing, it is I keep saying, Yash and I, when we were trying to do some planning, we were saying that life is like a lesson plan. You have to plan it so beautifully, yet hold it so lightly, and you have to always keep the learner in mind, and that's what is Beyond 8 for us. We hope we have each of your support as we sort of start our beautiful journey here in Bangalore. Please, if you want to save children who are in grades 9 to 12 from the draconian education system that you see around you, please do spread the word, and we would love to see more of you spreading the word and helping us grow here. Thank you so very much for being that 15-year-old. Thank you, Professor Rishi. It really means a lot. Each one of you.
And Mohan, very kind of you.
So Mohan, Shweta, Ruchi, Tarun, Hakim, Sham, Anu,
Sundar, each one of you. Just big.
Tarun, I mentioned Captain Preetham, Ram, Bhanu, Veena.
Ajay, all of you, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And the parents who are our biggest support, Sapna, it is because of you that we are here. We wouldn't be here without you. So Sapna and Preeti, thank you so much. And of course, Ganga. Thank you.
I've worked in education for 20 years now, trying to reimagine education. Education needs reform for a long time, and it's about time that all of us took a look at how education is facilitated in the future. If you want better outcomes in the future, we must change education today. My goal for Beyond 8 is to be able to enable every child to be able to pursue their passions and careers through an education that is leads to gainful employment, not just admission into colleges. That's a very low bar. Children need a lot of individualization in education. Often we are making children learn the same things at the same time, from the same teacher, from the same textbook at the same time, right? In a time when you can learn in YouTube, you can learn from a professor in Harvard sitting in kormangala, correct? You can learn at any time of the day. When all of this is possible, we must imagine more out of education. You ask anybody in industry, all the industrialists who are present today, all of them without a doubt said that education needs this reform. Nobody in industry is happy with the education that we're receiving. When new candidates come into employment, there's such a dearth of capacity, skills, knowledge, and all of that has to be closed. And if it's to be closed well, it has to be closed through education, through very high quality, learner determined. It has to be learner determined. We can't study something because the teacher thinks it's important. We have to study something which we are passionate about. Students must be interested in learning something. That's when they own the learning and they'll do better in life as a result of that. So it must be learner determined and hybrid. Education cannot be just all 5 days of the week go to school and sit in a classroom and learn. You might be able to learn as much or better sometimes online, from so many resources available online. Our own experts, we're able to get experts from all over the world to come and teach online to our students, and that's impossible to put together if you said the prerequisite for teaching is you must be present in the classroom. And you look at all school systems, we have we've been running Beyond 8 for 2 years in Chennai. We have 50 learners in our second year. Bangalore, Kormangala is our new center. I welcome one and all to come and take a look at our center. It's beyond8.in. It's a hybrid, learner-determined, full-time high school education anchored in liberal education. Thank you. Thank you.
For them to explore. It could be interdisciplinary pathways, it could be very unconventional pathways, but it's each pathway is unique to a learner. Lots of peer collaboration, lots of beautiful activities are there, but at the same time the focus is on the fact that the learner actually determines their own learning. So apart from dream mapping, we also do a lot of industry connects for our children, because I think textbooks are outdated, right? Textbooks they get updated, maybe, I don't know. I still think my school in which I studied uses the same textbook that I used about 30 years ago, right? So textbooks materials are being completely outdated, and of course you have a lot of information on Google, but what an industry expert can come in and talk to the learner about the choices that they can make, only they can bring that knowledge. You can't really have a teacher brings in a lot of compassionate empathy. A teacher brings in an understanding of the learner, but the missing component over here is how do children even become aware of the career choices that they have to make? How do children take the right decisions? The industry expert is the one who is completely in line, in focus with what is happening in their industries, and they give nuggets which you can't really find in Google. And that's where, so what is the experience you're going to give inside a school that you can't find on Google, and which is very unconventional? And those are the components that we are trying to build in our ecosystem. So we are learner determined, which means we are utagogical. We are for learners in grades 9 to 12. We focus on industry expert connects. Apart from that, we are also looking at an approach where we have mentors for learners who ensure that while there is a lot of freedom given to learners and their voices are heard, how do we bring in responsibility and accountability for these children? And the mentor actually builds that ecosystem which is very enabling for the learner to thrive in the choices that they have made, rather than trying to hold them ransom to the choices they have made and then saying that, see, you didn't do well. Instead of that, the mentor uses a growth mindset, a positive approach to help the learner thrive in whatever choices that they have made. Beyond it is also hybrid in model. Industry 4.0 is already here. There is just so much progress that is happening around us, but our schools have not changed at all. We are still dated back behind about 200 years ago, right? Times, and that's where our program model is hybrid in nature, where children attend physical classes 3 days of a week, and 2 days they actually spend online. Why do they spend, what do they do in the online sessions is completely different from what do they do in an offline session. And we believe that the power of the online learning as well as the offline learning has to be utilized ever so beautifully, so that children can get enabled. We have a very strong college pathways team. We can't just say that we will prepare you for an IGCSE Cambridge curriculum, or we will prepare you for NIOS curriculum. Our job doesn't stop there. We have to ensure that before they go into that next step which they take, that has to be really considered very, very cautiously, in a way that we are able to enable children to make the right decisions. And that's where our college pathways team works with every single learner in trying to see how we can enable them with the choices that they have, and then make the right choices. Look at the universities, look at the subject choices, look at their career pathways, ensure that the application process for them is done well, and sort of just enable them not just in writing an exam and stop there, but also enable them in taking that next step ever so confidently. And that's where we say that we are impact focused. We are not here to just say some beautiful words or complex terminologies, but ensure that our children are able to create their own transformative pathways and move on to the best collegiate liberal education, be it in India or in the world.
Thank you, madam.
It is in that effort that we have been experimenting. We have been we have started many social incubations, each focused focused on various themes like inclusion. We have an incubation called Elena. We have an incubation on public problem solving called Kartavyam. An incubation on social entrepreneurship called Militva. There is integrity in sports. Our incubation is called Explorers. There is also an incubation on using artificial intelligence to understand learning gaps in the way children prepare for their exams, which is called Cognify. So in all of this journey of trying to really see, so what is education? Is it social entrepreneurship skill that we need? Is it the fact that we need children to be public problem solvers? Do we just want them to go to college? Do we want them to prepare for life? Do we want them to build values in them? What is it really? And in that journey, we realize that the answers are with the learners themselves, right? The learners are actually saying what they want to do, what are their passions, what are their interests, what are they good at, and do I need to do all the things I'm bad at and feel reduction of my self-worth, or do I want to use a positive psychology philosophy? Do I want to use growth mindset to really talk about how I want to grow in the things that I love doing? And we realize that finally in our education system we hear many voices: the government's voice, the teacher's voice, the parents' voice, the college's voice, but somehow there is no room for learners at all. Beyond it seeks to correct that big flaw that we see in the education system today. Beyond it believes in bringing the learners back in their driving seats. It believes in a learner-determined pedagogical model where we listen to our learners' voices and we allow them to really explore the various various subjects of their choice through very, very deep and meaningful evidence-based practices. Dream mapping is something children experience to really voice out whatever are their dreams, their aspirations, their strengths. That's all about dream mapping. And then using those inputs, we don't even decide the curriculum or the subjects before. We don't try to fit children into what we can offer. We actually create an ecosystem that children can actually thrive in. So using the inputs from their voices through the dream mapping process,